welcome to another episode of Rising Tide. The purpose of Rising Tide is to educate, heal, and empower by bringing on the world's most brilliant minds and purest souls. Humbled and honored today to have a phenomenal Rising Tide in the building, Mr. Donahue Baker. He is the co-founder and the CEO of Money Ave, which is a virtual bank. He is also a real estate mogul with over 500 units currently right now.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Hey, so Mr. Donahue Baker, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, brother. I really appreciate it. Glad to be on your platform and glad to hear, you're doing some incredible things too. So, it's really all about building and uplifting the community and culture.
Facts. So let's just start off with just informing the audience of who you are, where you come from, and then how you got started and what you're doing.
Sure. I'm Donahue Baker. Got started really in real estate. I'm a CPA as well. I use that platform to kind of invest in income-producing properties, built a portfolio of over 500 rental units, and that has retired me from corporate America. No longer practice as a CPA, and now I've started a bank. We're launching a bank. It's called Money Avenue, and I'm the CEO of the bank, and that's basically where I am today.
Okay, so what kind of got you into the bank? I know that you were into like real estate. Did you go to college for real estate, or like
not
transitioned into entrepreneur?
Yeah, so I'll take it back a little bit further. So I grew up in New Jersey, and a lot of what I was doing at that particular time was centered around the music industry. Now, I had a production deal. I'm also a Grammy-nominated music producer, had a production deal on Sony Records, but my label got dropped. And when my label got dropped, I had put so much time, effort, money, resources into that project, I had to basically go back to school, get an MBA, reinvent myself. And at that particular point, I decided to just pursue CPA, the life of a CPA, right? So I built up.
What age were you when you went back to school?
When I went back to school, I was like 23, 24. Oh. I was still in my early 20s, young fella trying to make it in the game. And I realized though that money, that music industry money was just up and down. So I was really looking for something that provides stability, something that just allowed me to kind of scale gradually instead of just being so volatile. So that's when I said, you know what, let me go back to school. Let me, practice the CPA path and also get involved in real estate. And then I purchased my first real estate property in Atlanta. It was a duplex. I lived in one side, rented out the other while I worked for another firm and kind of built that out. So that was that journey. This is
right after college?
Yep. So right after college, I actually I didn't graduate in the 4-year time period because I was pursuing music, right? So that's when I started to work with all these artists. It was really just taking some time off to kind of pursue that. But then when I graduated, when I went back and graduated, that's when, everything started to happen.
So let me ask you, I'm curious, when you went back to college at the age of 23, did you find that gap and allowing you to mature a little bit allowed you to take school a little bit more serious or to be a little bit more focused than the average college student? Because it's my experience that, most of us unfortunately spend a great amount of our college years just even figuring out what we want to do. And by the time we really figure it out, we didn't already graduated or we're close to graduation. Yeah, so it's like we waste so much time.
No, that was me, definitely. So when I went to school in DC. When I got to DC, I thought I wanted to be a lawyer. I thought I really didn't have a certain focus, right? So it was kind of just figuring it out, but I always had a passion for music. And so I kept doing my music while I was still in school. And it basically put me in a position where I invested so much time in music when I began to have success. When it was all taken away, I was lost. Right. So one thing I did have was I did go to college. So I did have something to fall back on. And that's kind of why I was in that position where I had some options. I was like, I can go back to school, get an MBA, and then, build out and just have options. That's really what life is always about, making sure that you have options, making sure that if one door closes, there's other options available for you. And a lot of my peers at the time, that like my friends that all they did was music, they didn't really have that option. So they kind of had to resort to other things, and it's a vicious cycle, So I try to tell people, always have a plan B, always have another option. When one door closes, you can always pivot and go another direction.
So let me ask, once you get your first property right out of college, did you foresee or see yourself being where you are in the real estate game, or did it kind of just slowly built up to this? Or what was your vision for yourself when you first started real estate?
The vision was real simple. I just wanted to get to a point where I can live rent-free and I didn't have to worry about being kind of like homeless, so to speak, right? So that I whatever I wanted to do, at least my living expenses was taken care of. And that was really my goal, right? And then I said I wanted to acquire, once I did that, my first duplex, lived in one side, rented out the other. Once I did that, my goal was just to acquire one property every single year, multifamily. And then it just kind of like got to a point where I was like, if I bought the duplex, the year after that, I bought a fourplex. And then I said, I could double my passive income every single year. So that really was my mission. I was like hell-bent on doubling the number of units that I had every single year and just increasing my passive income to the point where my passive income exceeded the income that I was working for, actively going to a job day to day and working.
So at what point in time does your real estate kind of outweigh your accounting firm and everything, and to the point where you just walk away from that?
Yeah, it wasn't until about 5 years ago when that happened. And at that point, it was just, I was working so hard as a CPA, especially during tax season. I was working sometimes 80 hours a week. And I was just, it wasn't sustainable for what I wanted to do. So it got to the point where I was like, you know what? I need to even, once you get about 6 or 7 mortgages on your credit profile, it's hard to get more. So I had to really, really be creative and think of ways outside the box that I can get more properties. And that's when I was like, you know what? I've got to go up into apartment complex, bigger units right now, just 50 units and up, and when I got to that space, that's when I was like, I'm only a one purchase away from having more passive income than active income. And then I just made it my focus when I get to that level, I was going to leave the practice and kind of just be in control of my own time. And that's exactly what happened, to the point where it's like, I did that for a couple years after I sold the practice. And then I realized it's like real estate is boring because, I had, when you have that many units, you have to have a property manager. And the property manager, if you find a good one, they really do everything. Right. So it was really not a lot. All I'm doing is managing the managers. And I went through a couple bad ones, but when I found some really good managers, I really didn't have a lot to do. And that's when I was like, let me try to recreate, something. Cause I just, I'm the type where I always got to be working on something. I just can't sit back and be lazy. Right. So that's when I kind of was like, you know what? I always wanted to own a bank. Let's try to pursue that dream.
No, that's a powerful quality to have, because even in Proverbs in the Bible, it says a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the heads to rest, and poverty will come upon you like a bandit. So yes. I'm a firm believer of that. Like, you just chill just a little bit, and before you know it, you in a state of lack. So
I agree
completely.
Yeah.
So then you move into starting a bank. So what was that entire process like? I remember I took an entrepreneur class in college, and they had us going over this thing called the problem space, where you identify the problem, you identify the customer, and then you identify the solution. So what would be those 3 things that made you feel like this was like something that the community needed? So what was like the problem? Who was it actually for? And then what solutions does Money Ab offer?
Absolutely. That's a great a great scheme plan, you know, in terms of schematically how that folds. But I would say what led me to start a bank was, you know, the bank was always at the center of every transaction that we did. And when I look back on history, the bank was also very integral just in every single aspect of history, from the start of the foundation of this country, as well as everything that's happened. It's always been like some major institution. The banks have kind of helped write history, so to speak, making things possible that weren't necessarily possible. So to answer the question, when I was looking to build wealth, really generational wealth, it had to be, a bank had to be involved in that. And I realized at that particular time, there's no pathway to creating wealth. There's no kind of like, there's no formulaic process that the banks were involved in to say, well, this is the pathway to create wealth. I wanted my bank to be that. I wanted to create an institution that allowed the common person the opportunity to build wealth, and generational wealth in particular. Now, through research, I found out, and this is just the start, this is just the start of where I based the bank on. It's really only two ways to build generational wealth. That's either through real estate, which I was already involved in which I told you the banks played a key role in me financing my real estate. And then the other way was business, having a scalable business that you could basically create these systems. And the banks played a key role in helping a business to scale, any business. Now, the businesses that were successful were the businesses that had access to capital. And that's really what we provide. And that's the pain point that we solve, providing access to capital, but also more importantly, providing a pathway to create generational wealth. And we have a system, we have ideals, we have principles upon which the bank was founded. And our goal is to help people navigate through that process.
No, that's powerful. So what are some of the main hurdles that you've seen businesses, in particular Black businesses, struggle with when it comes to getting funding? And then how is Money Ave kind of working around that?
Absolutely. So a lot of what most people have an issue with is just how do they get access to capital, right? The number one problem is structure. The businesses aren't structured right. It's tricks. It's little hacks that you can do to put your business in a position to get access to capital. And that's really one of the things that our bank is focused on. It's financial literacy, it's education. There's 6 levels to where we bring our customers through. The very first level is what we call the thousandaire level. Thousandaire level works, we believe, and we define a thousandaire as someone that makes at least $100,000 every single year, right? So we believe that everyone should be at that level. And if you're not there, we provide tools, we provide training on networking opportunities. But idea is to get to that thousandaire level, make 100,000 a year through being an entrepreneur or through your job, right? The second level is that we want everyone to live the rent-free lifestyle. We have special lending products that we offer that if you make multifamily your first purchase, we can basically get you in there for free. So level 2, living the rent-free lifestyle. Level 3 is where we really focus. We ask you to bring your personal credit score to 720, and then we ask you to live exclusively through your business. And what we mean by that is we want you to understand the power of an LLC and how important that is to building wealth. So how you set up your LLC, the structure you use, that determines how much capital you're able to show, and it has future ramifications, right? So we focus on living exclusively through your LLC. And at the bank, what we do is we give every LLC that you have $50,000 of business credit that is not attached to your personal credit profile. And the reason why we do it like that is because there's a right way to build business credit and a wrong way to build business credit. The right way to build business credit is to let the business be the sole bearer of the credit responsibility, right? Donald Trump, we said before, Donald Trump has over 500 LLCs. The reason why he has over 500 LLCs is because he understands the power of business credit. He understands that you can basically leverage the credit of your business because it's a separate legal entity an infinite number of times. If you use your personal credit, meaning if you're a PG, a personal guarantor, or anything like that to build your business, what happens is your personal credit basically backs up your business and it limits the amount of credit you can get. So we show people through education how to effectively build out your business and live exclusively through your business. That's what we do at level 3. Excuse me. And at level 4, the idea is to go out and get $1 million in debt, $1 million of good debt. We're not talking about, consumer debt. We're talking about using the $1 million of credit that we help you get. We help you get up to $1 million after you've proven the concept of your business and you have some tax returns, you have revenue, and you've proven the concept of your business. We give you lines of credit up to $1 million, and we want you to use that money for income producing assets, right? That's the debt that you're going to get into, buying income producing assets, assets that pay you to own them, right? That's the multifamilies, or if you have a business, it could be scaling your business, using that those lines of credit to scale your business. At level 5, the $1 million of debt that you got into at level 4 converts into equity. So at that level, that's when what we call turning thousandaires into millionaires. It's that process, right? So at that level, technically you'll become a millionaire, and that's the idea, is to have more assets than liabilities, really in excess of $1 million. That's really the goal at level 5. And then the final level is the level of generational wealth creation, which we, through the bank, offer life insurance. We offer the ability through trusts and other entities and other tax plans for you to transfer wealth onto your heirs, right? It's a full 6-level plan that, we get you to that level so that you can create wealth. And then once you create wealth, you pass it on. That's really the premise from which we started the bank and what we want to bring our customers through that pipeline. And that's really the foundation of what we do. And we have tools, we have education, we have training, we have coaching, we have all of those things. When you come in, open a bank, all of them are available to you. And we believe that we offer a unique service that not a lot of people can find out there, so.
Yeah, man, that's powerful. And that is extremely brilliant. I have 2 questions. So in level 6, when you were talking about the life insurance, I'm assuming all of those are permanent policies?
Right. So right now we're going to have universal policy. Right now it's a term.
It froze. I don't know if that's on my end. Mr. Baker? Okay, it froze out. I can hear you now, though.
Okay, cool. So right now we just have a term policy, but in the future, we're going to have a universal or a whole life policy where you can actually have a cash value in that policy, and you can take out loans against it. So, but we're not there yet right now. It's a crawl, walk, run approach. So we kind of have to build out that vertical before we can fully offer it to the public. But we're working on it. So, yeah. So,
and y'all are backed by the Fdic, is that it?
Yes. All of our accounts fully Fdic insured. So basically, for the average person, your money is safe. Just to let people know, let them know that, your money is safe with us, just as it is with Chase or any other banking institution.
So that can give people a level of comfort because in the day and age of just scam nation out here,
Oh, yeah,
they
yeah,
know that their
absolutely.
stuff is secure by the government and everything. And you said up to 250,000?
Yes, up to 250,000, fully insured, DAC'd. We do have a license. We have a banking license. I still have my CPA license. There's other professionals that are within our organization as well. So, we definitely take full accounting that we have a fiduciary responsibility to take care of everyone's money. This is not an investment vehicle. We're actually a bank that's looking to invest in you. That's
Yeah.
really the thing. It's like we want to be the bank that puts money in your pocket as opposed to take money out. We don't charge any fees for our accounts. We don't charge any fees, any monthly minimum balances. The only thing we charge fees
Oh, Zoom went a while out today.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it had froze out again. I'm terribly sorry. Yeah, it froze out right when you were saying the only thing we charge fees for is.
Yeah, the only thing we charge fees for are the services, the auxiliary services. So obviously, if you're getting a loan, there's going to be fees for the closing costs. I mean, typically we are a business, right? There has to be a business model. How we make our money is primarily how banks make money. We basically charge interest on loans, right? So we have costs and we charge interest. The more money that is deposited into our accounts, we can lend that money to other people, other entrepreneurs, other real estate developers to help them grow their business. And as they grow, as people get up those 6 levels, we hope that they'll do more and more business with us, more and more loans with us, and that makes us profitable.
No, that's powerful. And so the education components that your bank offers, are those free services or is that a
Some
fee
are.
for people to get that?
Yes, some of the services are free. So we offer some free financial literacy, but there's other services like if you're interested in apartment acquisition academy, which is a course that I personally teach one-on-one. Those are paid. That's a paid course because we really work with you on a weekly basis to help you not only find and analyze apartment deals, but also just it's really hands-on. Like we'll come to your city and actually analyze investment opportunities. And then the other value add is we will partner with you on certain investments that we'd like. So let's say you find a $10 million apartment complex or a $10 million development deal, and you don't have the money, we'll help you take that down, structure it, and also invest our money into the deal. Of course, we get, we do it because we're going to be getting some equity. We have a fund. So the whole idea is the more equity that we can build up in the fund, we could take that money out and put it back in the fund and grow the fund. So that's the business model behind that.
No, that's powerful. And so are the 6 levels different programs or is that all encompassed in one program?
Yeah, the six levels really, it's not really a program. It's a process, right? You come in, open an account. If you're not a thousandaire, the goal at level 1 is to make you a thousandaire, right? Once you get your money right, once you're not living paycheck to paycheck, we want you to move up. The next level of that is live the rent-free lifestyle. Take care of your monthly living expenses. House hack, if you can. If you can't, there's other ways that you can own rental property. Then understand that at that point, the idea is to build wealth. The best way to build wealth is understand how to leverage debt, good debt and bad debt, and the safe way to do it. The safe way to do it is strictly through a separate legal entity because there's an infinite number of legal entities that you can create. So you want to have multiple LLCs. You want to have an ecosystem of LLCs. We try to educate people to tell you how to do this effectively, how to get business credit. That's how we get you the $50,000 so you can prove the concept of your business. And then from there, once you've proven the concept of your business, it's about scaling, getting millions and millions of dollars of debt if you're looking to do that. Some people aren't. But if you're looking to be a millionaire, and we all should be looking to be a millionaire, you've got to understand how to get millions of dollars of debt, because you might be $1 million in debt, but if the underlying asset is worth $2 million, you're a millionaire. That's how the wealthy people do it. And we try to show people, if you can get debt and master debt, it's easy to create wealth. You know, if you understand that, and there's a process to that. And then once you create the wealth, the next step is how do you preserve it and pass it on. That's all the 6 steps are really doing, showing people how to traverse that course, how to basically build it, get it, pass it on, and create generational wealth. Simple as that.
So a person comes in, you see where they're at, and then just from there, you just help them get to 6. So if a person comes in at 5, it's cool. We don't got to do 1 through 4. We'll just do these last couple steps to get you where you are. But if somebody comes in the door and they just at ground 0, then we'll just work you up through level 6.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
That's you nail on the head, right? It's simply wherever you are, it's right there. Somebody may come in, like we got people right now, like as a CPA, I got people that are millionaires, right? And the service that we can provide to them is structuring, setting up trust, right? A lot of when you have wealth, it's all about preserving your wealth. So you have to have like tax strategies available. You can set up a blind trust. There's a number of different ways. One of the things that I did for my son is through a trust, I was able to purchase. I have a 3-year-old. He's 3 now, but when he was 2, I purchased a 6-unit apartment complex for him in Newark, New Jersey, right? 6 units. He's 2 years old. He owns it. That's generational wealth for him, right? And that was my gift to him to say, well, look, we bought you this apartment complex. By the time you turn 18 and you're ready to go to college, this apartment complex could pay 100% of your college, right? And on top of that, you can have income for the rest of your life, because I'm sure the rentals are going to be going up. I'm not selling it. So, it's always going to be a source of income. He's not going to be forced to do something he doesn't want to do. He's going to have at least a foundational floor to say, well, what if he doesn't even want to go to college? He has that foundation if I'm not in his life. But that's all set up through a trust. So as you go, there's different things that you should be focusing on. And we try to help you to focus on one thing. And that's the key to building wealth. Focus on one thing, knowing where you are, and then focusing on that one thing to get to the next level.
And then with a trust is good for generational wealth, because if you are the one that set up the trust, you can put certain restrictions or certain prerequisites in place for them to access money, and then you can put limits on how much they can access at a time, or what's the different nuances of a trust?
There's so many different types of trust, first of all. There's revocable, irrevocable, dynasty trust, family trust. There's so many different trusts. But to break it down in a simplistic form, the trust allows you to have say in the how you want to allocate your assets, right? So the same way I was able to purchase a building through a trust, I can basically say, well, you can't sell the building until you get to a certain age. I mean, I can impose my restrictions on it. So I can basically say, I haven't done it, but I know of a friend of mine, a recently a client actually, that had a trust, and their daughter was in a really bad abusive relationship. And in the trust, they left a lot of income producing assets, apartment complexes and things like that. And they said, well, as long as my daughter is in a relationship with this person, they're not to see any of the benefits of the properties of the trust. So you can impose your will or your wishes while you're still living. you know? So there's a number of different things that once you've built wealth, it allows you to still have a say in it, well beyond a will, which has to be probated and go through a lengthy process. The trust can be moving today. The trust can be active, and the will of the trust can be carried out immediately.
So it's things like a trust that protects Paris Hilton, you know, from, you know, not having to be a business mind whatsoever, and yet still the money just stays in the family.
Absolutely. That is one of the key mechanisms by which the wealthy keep money into their family. You know, it's a tool, right? And another thing too, it's very hard to acquire wealth generationally consistently, because there's like limits, and up to $13 million you get taxed. So a lot of wealth, like the families, you think of the Carnegies, the Rockefellers, you know, great reserves of wealth that have established through time. They exist in other forms. It could be a foundation, you know, or a separate legal entity that doesn't get tax, doesn't have an inheritance tax associated with it. So it's real important that you have a strategy, that you can execute your wishes, and the money, when you're gone, if it's structured right, it can possibly even grow, right? It can possibly even grow. And if you don't have that plan, what happens is it decreases just because of our tax system. They don't, you know, we have an inheritance tax, and that's probably going to grow, you know, subsequently, you know, as taxes go up, you know, and taxes will go up because all of the things that we're doing in terms of, we just got this $2 trillion stimulus. There's another trillion-something dollar stimulus that's going through Congress right now. All of it, you know, to pay for that has to be taxes. So, you know, it's important to understand this and the dynamics of what's going on, and how you can plan for your family to create generational wealth.
And that's why in that song, What's Free with Meek Mills and Jay-Z, Jay-Z was like, my account's so good, I'm practically living tax-free. It's because of how his account got everything set up and all that stuff like that.
Absolutely.
That's
absolutely.
powerful.
When you understand that when you build wealth, you have to have a way in which you can either be, we talked about generational wealth, either you can shield it through, and the only way to shield it is through real estate and business. If you don't have a business that can really be a tax shield, you're losing out. If you don't have real estate that you can take advantage of, some of really depreciation is the secret sauce, right? And I say depreciation is the secret sauce because the wealthy know depreciation is recognized by the IRS as a true expense. You can deduct depreciation against as much income as possible. But the wealthy, as well as the banks, know that depreciation is not something that really comes out of your pocket. It's not a real expense. So when you go to get a loan, you know, they add depreciation back in. So it's a tool that you have to figure out how to maximize. And that, if you use that effectively, it's going to improve not only your IRS status, but also your status with banking institutions, being able to get access to funds if you're able to use that depreciation mechanism the right way.
Wow. So as you are bringing that up, that goes to my mind. So the last probably 4 years I've been independent contractor. So I'm a 1099. And with that, you know, we're able to do deductions, but with deductions, you know, that goes against your income. So it's like, how is that workaround where if you're trying to, you know, you need, like if you're trying to get a crib or something like that, you need to show income, but then, you know, to avoid the crazy taxes and all that, then you want to use deductions, but then when I do deductions, it lowers my income. So is there a workaround around that, or is that a trap, or how do people get around that?
So the workaround is there's a tax designation. It's called a real estate professional, right? Have you heard of that before?
Mm-mm.
All right, but it is their nirvana of tax statuses, because as a real estate professional, what you're able to do is deduct pretty much 100% of all of your expenses across the board, right? There's certain requirements. You can Google it, but it's a tax status. When you're considered a real estate professional when you have 750 hours devoted solely to real estate on an annual basis. That's the threshold. 750 hours devoted just to real estate. What that does for you is once you get that status, once you get that classification and you designate yourself as a real estate professional, you're able to write off pretty much everything that you do in the course of a day. Nothing else allows you to do that, right? So the idea and what we just said before is you want to use your depreciation expense. So as a real estate professional, if you own property, the idea is to use that depreciation expense on your tax return and try to get your depreciation as high as possible, and then I can show you ways on how to do that. But in essence, so we understand, in your particular situation, once you get your tax return showing high depreciation, what you do is when it's time to go get a loan now, that depreciation expense that reduced your taxable liability gets added back into your revenue, or in some banks, they look at your NOI and it's high now. So you're not restricted. You're showing revenue because depreciation got added back, because the banks know depreciation is not a real expense. So that's how you're able to defeat that, and your tax professional can help you, or it's just a strategy, brother. That's really all it is. And it's knowing, all right, well, this year I'm going to go for $1 million line of credit, or so I need to show a lot of revenue. So you know what? Let me focus on what I can do to get the maximum depreciation. And how do you do it? Well, there's a number of strategies that will maximize your depreciation in the Trump tax laws that just happened in 2019. And it's still on the books until they change it. But actually, he allows you to depreciate 100%. There's a number of methods like straight line depreciation, or which you can depreciate a little bit of an asset over time. But with these tax laws, you can depreciate 100% of your assets in 1 year, which this is a tool for the wealthy, right? This is a tool that they've been able to say, well, I just bought a brand new car, and then depreciate all of it, right? That's how you make a car 100% deductible. And you can do that legally now. Just bought a house, you could depreciate all of it. You could take 100% of your depreciation in 1 year, which, if you have structured and you plan right, that is a tremendous tool. So that's the nugget. Hopefully with some value.
Yeah, you dropping mad value, and I want to honor your time. So I definitely got these list of questions because I asked my audience. I was like, I'm interviewing the CEO of a bank. What questions do y'all have? And so they gave me some. But before that, for the people that want to invest in Money Ave or get an account in Money Ave, what's the process of opening up an account? And since it's virtual, how do people transfer their money into the Money Ave?
Sure. So you can go to bankmoneyave.com. That's the website. Right now, our banking services launch next month. So everything that you need besides opening a bank account is available today, right now, right? So we're the 9th fastest growing fintech in the country, according to Inc. magazine. So all of our services are available. We do lending. We also have a super fast loan that you can get in less than 3 hours, anywhere from $500 to $10,000, and the interest rates are super low, like 3%, right? So as far as opening an account, once we launch, go to Bank Money Ave, you'll have information there. Now, as far as our other services, it's Money Ave is the website. So it's moneyave.com.
Alrighty. And so you're saying at this point in time, people can't open up an account at this time?
We launch next month, right? So next month,
okay.
Yeah, so in February, once you sign up, you'll get notifications. So when you go to Bank Money app, you'll get notifications. But our banking platform is still not. We're testing our beta right now. So by law, we have to test it for 30 days. So we're testing it from now until like around the third week in February. And then after we test it, and everything is working right, and there's a number of customers right now that are in our beta program that's helping us test it. Once we do that, then we'll be able to release it to the public. So that's the process, and that's why we're going through this process. It's not available to the public right now, but if you sign up, you might be one of our beta testers. We might ask you to, test it out, test out our app. We have a budgeting app that comes along with it to help you with your financial literacy, help you budget, things to basically show you the impact of a purchase today, how that's going to impact your wealth 5 years down the road, right? So all of these great tools are available, when we launch.
So when y'all doing the beta testing, y'all are basically just making sure that deposits are going through properly and withdrawals are going through properly. So y'all don't just launch it and people can, because I know Black people bored. It's like, man, they got patience with other people, boy, but when it comes to Black business, they don't got no patience. They be ready to withdraw and close their account tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely, brother. So the idea is 1,000 people testing it right now. We got 1,000 people that's doing transactions, sending things here. You'll see like testimonies, like people sending testimonies in and stuff like that, but it's not available to the public, but we are primarily leveraging technology, and we want other people to leverage technology as well, right? Because we believe that what we're trying to do is be the pipeline for what we feel is the number one source of wealth creation in this country. Is coming from Silicon Valley. It's coming from a place where there are billionaires that are being created in as little as 2 to 3 years. Did I break up this call? Just kidding. Could you hear me?
I still see you. Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. So they're billionaires that's being created in like 2 to 3 years in Silicon Valley. What we want to do is tap into those resources, bring them to our community, and help other creators, give them access to capital, and encourage them to be more entrepreneurial, encourage them to create companies. That's why we give you that $50,000. We want you to start a business, prove the concept of your business. We know that 90% of businesses fail, but the more entrepreneurs we can get out there, the more that we can help at least have access to capital. We feel we're doing a tremendous service.
And that's why you'll have them strictly do it to their business, because if it fails, we just do another LLC and your personal ain't tied to it at all.
Correct. So if you do a business, it doesn't work out, you don't have to, your personal credit won't get dinged for the next 5-7 years, and then, I believe that sometimes you gotta go hard with your business, but you've got to take risk. You've got to think outside the box. We want to encourage that type thinking. How do you leverage technology to create a new concept? Do something that's going to change life for all of us, right? That's really the creators and the entrepreneurs that we love working with. Somebody that has an idea that's going to impact the lives of others.
No, it's powerful. And since everything is going digital now, I'm assuming that, if a person has Bitcoin, it'll be easily to just deposit or convert it into the bank, or Cashapp or PayPal or any of these other electronic Zelle and all that will just easily be able to be integrated.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's another thing that we're working on. After we launch, we're going to have a crypto wallet. So super excited about that, right? What that's going to allow us to do is what we also serve a lot of immigrant populations, and we realize that sometimes they want to send money home and they use Western Union or MoneyGram. With our platform, they're going to be able to send money way cheaper than those through the crypto wallet, right? Purchasing a currency and then converting it in a foreign land. So that's one of the things that we're really excited about. But I hope people really see where that is going and the possibilities for cryptocurrency and That is a tremendous way in which we can build wealth as well, right? Because it's only a matter of time. And we start to see the major financial institutions. I mean, we see what Bitcoin is going through right now. We're starting to see more and more people gravitate towards cryptocurrencies. And we're going to be in the forefront of that. So that's another thing that we're excited about.
Oh, that's powerful. And I remember I had a friend way back in the day when Bitcoin was only like $100. He was using Bitcoin to buy things on like the dark web, and he was trying to explain what Bitcoin was. And I was just like, I don't know parts of what you're doing and all that. But it's so crazy that now to see that Bitcoin hit almost like $40,000 one time, I was just like, man, what was I thinking?
That's where it is. And there will be others. And there will be others, Ethereum. I mean, there's so many coins right now, but the idea is that its time is coming. It's not here yet, but it's coming soon.
No, that's powerful. That's powerful. So let me get to some of these questions that people were asking. So what is the day-to-day routine of the CEO of a bank?
Right. So my day-to-day routine really is about spreading awareness, creating partnerships. For example, we partnered with the organization in Florida. They have over 40,000 high school students, and they teach financial literacy. Wow. Our partnership with them, we're going to give these 40,000 high school students a bank account. We're going to give them financial literacy education, access to our budgeting app, and also through corporate sponsorship, put some money into their accounts just to show them how important it is to budget, how important your credit is to building a business, figuring out how you're starting a business, because they all have this entrepreneurial mindset, how to really use business credit to launch whatever endeavor that they want to, right? And that's one of the things. It's called a generational account that we have. Because when I was 15, 16, I had no idea what budgeting was, had no idea what banking was. So the idea is to give them a head start. When they turn 18, they're able to just hit the ground running. And I firmly believe that in the next 5 to 10 years, we're going to see our first teenage billionaires, because no longer is a public school curriculum or a high school curriculum defining what we can do. These kids have some tremendous ideas, and they just need to link up with the right networks and resources to let those ideas sprout. And we're going to be a part of that. So I'm excited about that. The generational accounts that we have in helping these 40,000 kids, improve their financial literacy.
No, that's powerful. I remember when I was in college, I had started an organization called RISE, Real Impact for Student Entrepreneurs. And basically we had got a grant from the Muncie newspaper, and each student got funded for a different business idea. And it was like a 13-week program. Every Saturday we would meet, and I would bring we would have a different focus. So the first week we would talk about just creativity and innovation. Next week we might talk about sales. Next week, marketing. Next week, operation. Next week, social media, different things like that. And I would have different department heads come out and talk to the students. And then, like I said, they got funded for different ideas that they would come up with. And then at the end of the program, we had like I forgot what they call it, but a little showcase thing where all the different kids could sell their products and all that stuff. And it was powerful, and it was life-changing. And even that was 7 years ago. And still to this day, students hit me up talking about how that changed their life and got them thinking about entrepreneurship. So I definitely can see that that's going to have crazy impact. And they were just so excited because, again, they're, kids want to be entrepreneurs, but they don't never have nobody that looks cool, that looks like them, and that they can relate to, that puts that idea in them. But as soon as they see somebody that kind of looks like them, that's relatable. And I was bringing, college students that had businesses and all that, and they was eating it up, man. They loved it. They loved it. So that's what's up. I encourage you.
Yeah, that's why I love that sweatshirt, the hoodie that you got. It's that message, and that's what we try to project. But I grew up in a low-income projects. So I can relate, I can relate to that, 10-year-old, 12-year-old kid is, who are they looking up to? What are they seeing? And I think that being an entrepreneur, it's powerful. It's powerful because it means that you're in control of your own destiny. You have to rely on your brain, your hustle, your know-how, your knowledge, skill set. How do you network? How do you build nothing from something? That's really the idea.
Facts. And then a lot of students think that they're not, good at something or they can't sell. One of my friends put something in perspective for me, Bob Proctor, actually. He was like, you're selling stuff all the time. If you got an iPhone and your friend got an Android, you're selling them on why he should have it. If you listen to Tidal, but they listen to Apple Music, you're selling them on why they shouldn't listen to Apple Music no more and come to Tidal. He was like, you're always selling things. The issue is that you're not benefiting from any of the stuff you're selling. So you might as well, own some of the stuff and then sell the same thing. So that's
facts.
Powerful. So I have another two questions, which is, what is an opinion that you've changed over the last year that you feel helped to improve your life? And then what is a habit that you've changed, if any, over the last year that you've helped or you feel helped to improve your life?
Over the past year, I would say that's really through COVID. One of the things that I've definitely changed is the power of people, right? I firmly believe that it's the people around you that really determine your aptitude. And going into COVID, I took it for granted. I was always busy, but when, and then I was speaking in front of people before COVID. A lot of people were hiring me to speak to their organizations. And when COVID happened, all of that stopped. And I was just kind of like in solitude. So what I realized is how important it is to connect with people genuinely, right? And that is going to determine, like, even our conversation is like, I'm getting a lot out of it, hearing your experience when you talk about that program, like it's validation of what I've been going through. How can I reach young people? How can I pour into these young minds? One of the things that coming out, I had this need to give back. So it changed, right? Because of that. And as a result, this summer, I took a position. I'm a professor at Morehouse in Atlanta, Georgia, and I teach a course called Entrepreneurship and Black Wealth, right? And it gives me an opportunity to pour into young minds. These are like, 20-year-olds that are about to graduate and into the real world. And it gives me an opportunity to put myself back in that position when I was in college and I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And it's just so, I don't do it for the money. I do it because, it's so beneficial. It fulfills a need within me to pass on and help others kind of find their way. Because I was there too. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was lost. But when you tell people, if you take care of your basic needs, if you take care of, living a rent-free lifestyle, just get to the point where you don't have to worry about housing. We live in a capitalistic society. Take care of your basic needs and then follow your passions. Think like an entrepreneur and the doors will open up. You'll figure out what you're good at and you'll figure out your path.
No, that's facts. That's facts. Major facts. Man, what accomplishment currently are you most proud of? And then what accomplishment in your future will you be most proud of?
The accomplishment that I would say was a real estate deal, right? So we purchased a 100-unit apartment complex and paid a little over $5 million for it, but the value doubled, right? So we created through just forced appreciation. We did some renovations, but it's valued at over $12 million. So wow, that's my best deal. We made about $4 million on one transaction and did it within a short amount of time, like a little over a year. We were able to do that. So that was, that's my best deal. I'm probably most proud of it because it took some ingenuity to kind of make that happen. And then the other thing of what am I going to be most proud of in the future? I would have to say it would be the bank. The idea of creating a bank that if we could, our goal is to go out and get 1 million people to bank with us. If we get 1 million people to bank with us, we'll have created $1 billion in valuation, right? Now, that $1 billion of valuation is going to allow us to basically lend and create more entrepreneurs. That's going to be more businesses, more real estate developers, more projects, and all of these are going to impact communities all over the country. So that is really our goal. That's why we want people to join the bank. Even if you say, well, look, I support your mission, I support what you're doing, let me just put $1,000 in there and use that as a as a fund account, whatever it may be, right? So, and that's basically what we want to do. If we can go out there and reach 1 million people, that's why I spend most of my time as the CEO trying to spread awareness, spread awareness of what we can do, what we offer, how to improve your financial literacy. Just by having an account with us, you're going to improve your financial literacy. So we're constantly pouring into people to let them know what we can do for them. And then once they grow and once they rise up and as they go up those levels, right, the idea is to do more business with us, and then they tell people, and then exponentially we've made a difference and created legacy.
No, that's powerful. And the fact that y'all are not following the business model of trying to get overdraft fees and all, because man, sometimes it seems like the bank purposely, because I don't know, I'll do that with my account sometimes where I'm paying for something and I'm tracking everything and everything is good, but then all of a sudden, they waited, 2 weeks to charge something or something like that. And then all of a sudden the bank now I'm in overdraft. I'm like, whoa, I've been checking my stuff every single day. I don't know what didn't happen. And then next thing you know, well, you got all these other charges that came in since that went negative. And now, late fee. And I'll be like, it's like, are y'all encouraging? It's like y'all almost want a person not to be able to get it back to zero. Because it's like, what's it negative for?
The reason why that is because every single month, right? You think the big 5 banks, Chase, Bank of America, TD Bank, Wells Fargo, and Citigroup, they make at least $1 billion to $1.5 billion in fees alone every single month. So if you bounce a check, they hitting you with a fee. You got to have a fee to have an account. I mean, that's a source of revenue. They're not going to turn that off anytime soon. But we believe that we can put that money back into people's pockets. If you get charged $30, $40 a month, for some people, young people in particular, they feel that in their budget, So we definitely believe that is how we're going to disrupt, because that's what we're competing against, the big banks, right? That's how we disrupt them, is that we make it free to bank with us. We don't make any money off your banking. We make money off of lending. We make money off of other things that we can provide, other services that we can provide for you.
Yeah, because certain banks, boy, I remember like it was like $35 per little thing that went through. And it's like, I got a lot of automations on my thing. So it's like automation hit and $35, $35. Boy, before you know it, I was like, God dang, it's like $400 in fees. Before I even recognized it was a problem, I had that many fees. I was just like, so yeah, I had to switch some things up, and yeah, but it definitely seems like that they're intentional about doing that. So I can appreciate your bank for like, we're not trying to capitalize, on the errors that certain people might make. I'm not sure if it froze. Are you able to hear me?
My bad. Yeah, I can hear you now.
I didn't know if that was my connection or what. My fault.
Yeah, it could be mine. I just realized we kind of like in a snowstorm here. But let me just follow up.
You in New Jersey?
New Jersey.
Okay.
Yeah, it's snowing. It's snowing here. But let me just follow up on that last point. We to counteract what you just said, right? $35 fee over and over, and then just add it up. We actually will spot you $100, right? For every account, we will cover you $100. Not only we won't even charge you a fee for that, but every account we literally give you $100 in overdraft protection fee so that you're covered. Should that happen, should anything go over, so just one of the services that we provide.
Where does the heart for that kind of come from? Because of course, you're starting a bank, and every business is really, you might want to serve, but you still, gotta make money and all that. So it's like one of the easiest ways for that particular business to make money. You're like, no, we're not gonna do that. Like we're gonna, use our creativity to figure out other ways to do it. Where does that come from? Where you could easily, and people wouldn't even think nothing bad about it. People would be like, that's just normal banking. But you're like, no, we're not doing that. Where does that come from?
It's really about the disruption of the current business model, the current banking business model. Really, that's really where it is. Technology is improving so much that we can't continue to do banking the way that it's been done. So we need people like us, like we're what we call the neobanks. Like we're trying to disrupt these big guys that have trillions in assets, right? We're the only way we can do that is to compete, because they're so powerful. The banks actually have major lobbyists. They can write a legislation and try to push us out the market, but we've got to be able to compete with them for the typical customer that's looking to build wealth. And one way to do it is not nickel and dime people, and that's really the philosophy. I hate it, but that is a source of revenue for the banks. They live off of those fees, $1 billion. They're not going to turn that off, So we just want to kind of, stop that, and maybe going into the future, it hurts them so much that they turn it off. But I think will make it better for all of us, right? It'll make the cost of banking a little cheaper, and we can compete on other platforms.
No, that's true, because I do feel like they do it just because they're just like, you don't have any other option, so we're just gonna do this. But if you're right, if that option gets taken away and people start going to other places where they're not doing that, then we could see a major shift in that. What's one thing that you know now as an entrepreneur that if you would have known when you first started, it would have streamlined your process or made things smoother for you?
I would say the one thing, it's a number of different things that I learned every single day. But one of the key things, and maybe I've touched on it earlier, is the power of just people, right? The power of finding somebody, even connecting with someone like you. It's just the ability that you're so passionate at what you do that you're able to build a resource. You ever heard of this book, 1,000 True Fans? There's a book that basically says, if you get 1,000 true fans, and this is across the board for anyone, that you can have just 1,000 people, right? You can have a sustainable business that makes it so that you don't have to work ever a day in your life. That's the goal, right? No. So as a influencer myself, I see that because when I did my course, I had a lot of people want to jump in and be a part of my course. I no longer do the course anymore, but what that proved to me is that the day and age that we're living in, everyone should have the ability to make at least $100,000 a year. You could do that relatively easy because we're all like an expert at something. We all do something really, really well. And if you're able to help other people and say, well, look, I just need to get 1,000 people to believe in what I do, I mean, you're off to the races, and that's really something that you don't realize it, but in our phones, in our iPhones, we probably have 500 contacts. And if you look at it from that way, if people that you know in your phones, most on average, they have 500 contacts, you're halfway there, right? Those 500 people tell one other person, and you're already there, right? Now, if you get them to tell two people, exponentially, the business model grows and grows. But the key is that understand the power of people, understand that we're all great at something. And the same way that I can connect with you, I can connect with 10 other people, that's how we move the needle. My dad used to say all the time, no man is an island. We need each other. So I'm constantly looking for people to connect with, You know, I'm constantly looking for ways I can add value to other people. I can show people how to build wealth. I can show people how to set up tax planning, how to get access to capital, how to really navigate. And to me, that's kind of like my life's work that I've been doing as a CPA, been doing as a owner of real estate, providing places to live. That's significant. Places to live to people. That's a service that, you know, everybody has to have a place to live. The properties that I own, I take pride in the upkeep of them, right? So it's a number of different things, brother. So deep question. It makes me think. It just makes me think that you know, we need each other as people, you know.
Have you ever suffered from doubt or a low self-image or a low self-esteem when it comes to like business and all that stuff like that, that you had to shake or like reprogram yourself to think higher and all that stuff like that? Or did you always kind of, you know, just have the self-esteem to just be like, oh, you know, I'll have an idea to go do this, I'm about to go do it?
Nah, it's being an entrepreneur it's lonely, right? So you know, you're constantly trying to understand what the people want. So you're open to criticism, and sometimes, you know, you do have some self-doubt, but every day you have to motivate yourself constantly. You got it, and that's what you pour into your mind. That's what you read. That's through other people in your life. You know, you've got to find that circle that constantly pours into you and allows you to get recharged every single day. It's just the facts, right? So yes, I've been there with the self-doubt. I've second-guessed decisions, but the fact of the matter is, as entrepreneurs, as people that are on a mission, you know, life is about taking chances, taking risk, and going and realizing your utmost potential. Just really, you just got to do it, go for it. And, you know, I spend a lot of my day, believe it or not, encouraging other people. Could be my team, could be other people that reach out to me on social media, letting them know, look, it's other ways to do it. Don't give up on yourself. You lost your job, that could be a blessing. Whatever is happening to you in your life, you know, it's perspective. And once you have the right perspective, other opportunities open up. It's really remarkable, right? You think the worst possible thing happened, like, oh, I lost my job. But there's that one thing can open up 5 other things that are 10 times better than the job that let you go.
No, that's facts. Having the perspective to just be able to see it, that is extremely powerful. Somebody asked me on my Facebook a very powerful question that they wanted me to ask you. Do you feel consumerism has crippled people of color?
Definitely. So consumerism has you know, a couple things up on that, right? Consumerism is what is keeping a lot of us poor, right? Because we need to be more of creators. We need to be more on the created side. And we're the number one consumers of certain, you know, projects, even luxury products, right? Things that you would think that as a community we can't afford, right? But what's happening is because of that, corporations are starting to realize that we are the early adopters, right? We're the ones that really make things cool. We're the ones that really are driving our culture to say, well, once it's adapted in this force, it becomes disseminated out to the masses. So there's a VC, a venture capitalist called Ben Horowitz, right? And a lot of the times what he does is studies what Black people are adapting to, and then he invests in those. So one of them is I'm sure you've heard of Clubhouse, right?
Yep.
All right. So Clubhouse started with $60,000-$70,000 investment, and it was chugging along. But when they really got some Black influencers into Clubhouse, it exponentially increased to the point where everybody's talking about it right now. And they're saying Clubhouse is going to be valued at $1 billion even before they officially launch. So these are the things that we should be paying attention to as a community. And once we understand that, we can tap into what our bank is trying to really do, be that pipeline to greater avenues of wealth, right? Greater avenues. So let's say if you had the idea to start Clubhouse, we could have got you the seed capital to start that, launch that business. In less than a year or so, that business could possibly be worth $1 billion. Right.
Do you, because Master P had an interesting argument about this where he was saying that if Clubhouse would have been all Black owned, that it probably wouldn't have been as supported by Black people as it was, because for some reason it seems like we have this hidden thing in our paradigm where if it's Black owned, we got to be suspicious of it. We got to, try to get a discount, or we try to undervalue it. But, if it's white owned, we don't question it. We'll just completely jump in and support it. So do you feel do you see that in your world, first off, like where it seems like Black people are apprehensive about you being a Black business owner or a Black bank owner and all that they, they just go to a white bank and just open their account. They're not, asking a million questions, but do you feel like that you run into unnecessary hurdles when it comes to our people?
I think there's some validity to that, but my solution is I don't want to be the Black bank, right? So I don't want to be, this is the bank that all the Black people bank at. Now, I don't want to do that. What I want to do is I want to have a bank that is competitive with Bank of America, JP Morgan Chase, like the best in the world, right? If you take the top 10 most profitable companies in the world, half of them are banks, right? I want to compete with them. And that's been my philosophy. So whether it's Black owned or not, it should be irrelevant. Is in my service, are you going to get more value banking with Money Ave than you are with JP Morgan Chase? That should be the ultimate question. And right now, we don't have the resources of JP Morgan Chase, but we feel for the person that's looking to build generational wealth, we provide tremendous value. We are the best product set in the market. JP Morgan Chase doesn't give you the opportunity to get $50,000 in business credit that can help you to start your business. JP Morgan Chase doesn't offer you free banking, right? They don't do that, right? JP Morgan Chase will not joint venture with you on your real estate project if you don't have the money to complete it. JP Morgan Chase doesn't do that. What you have in Money Avenue, and you in particular, you have a relationship with the CEO of a bank, right? The CEO of Chase Bank is Jamie Dimon. But imagine if you can call Jamie Dimon on the phone and do business with him. You can't, you can't. But the bottom line is, as a growing bank, you can with us. So when we look at business from that perspective, we look at the value that's achieved. I can be more of the asset to you than Chase Bank, right? I can be more of the asset to you than banking with Bank of America or Wells Fargo or Citigroup or any of these other institutions. We can help you build wealth a lot more effectively with education, right? A lot of the services that we provide than those guys. And that's how we're going to win. And that's how we compete on a competitive plane. It's not being the Black bank, right? The fact that I'm Black, the fact that I have 100% owned Black bank is great. But that's not a selling proposition for me, right? So there's some businesses that are out there that think just because I'm Black owned, you have to do business with me. That's not my philosophy. My philosophy is, look, I'm Black owned, but I want to add tremendous value to you, where the point was you're not going to want to go to Chase. You're not going to want to go to Bank of America. Why? Because you can reach out to the CEO. You can reach out. You can get education. You can do things that they're not doing.
No, so I think that's powerful.
Yeah.
You said, no, I'm not a Black bank. I'm just a bank that happens to be owned by a Black man. Like, so I love that idea. And I feel like that will help you in a lot of different ways. Because, for certain reasons, just Black people are just skeptical of just other Black businesses. So the idea that you're just framing it as just a bank, I think that that will lower some of the suspicions. Because even when I had put out, yo, I'm interviewing the CEO of a Black bank today, one of the questions was just like, well, what makes him, feel that, and I don't know if that was their tone, but the words was, what makes him feel that his bank is better than other banks other than just being Black? And I was just like, why we got to get that type of comment? Like, why we gotta?
Yeah. But no, but I really feel it's valid. I really feel it's valid. And there is a skepticism that exists within our community. And why? Because so many people have taken advantage of us as a community, right? So many people. If you look at the fact is we're the number one consumers, but if you look at household median income, if you look at just we're like last on every single category. All the demographics are lower. So are above us. We're at the bottom. And we shouldn't be. So my thing is, look, I'm here to add value. I'm here to compete with JP Morgan Chase, Bank of America. I'm going at them. Now, I don't have the pockets that they have, but I want to basically be viewed as a business that is on that level.
Yeah. Well, I have complete faith in you, because every time when I first heard of you, it was on the Social Proof podcast with David Shands. A lot of what you said really resonated with me. Then, of course, I'm in the morning meetup. So then when you came to that, I had heard that as well. And I feel that the more, then, of course, with this conversation, the more people are able to see you visually and then hear you, I feel like it will drop any suspicions that people have, because like, you seem very personable. You seem like a person of very high integrity. Your definitely knowledge base is crazy, and then specialized knowledge. Like, you don't seem just general. Like, even from what you were kicking on the podcast and in the morning meetup, just all the game that you were giving. I'm like, a lot of it I hadn't heard before. Even when you were talking about transferring your student debt to your business name and all that, and I was just like, I had never heard of that before, because I was a person that got tricked into the student loan thing. I think I took out like 30-some thousand, and I was, ignorant and not checking on my student loans right after college. So I had like ignored them for like 5 years, and then they were just like, you owe like 90-some thousand. I'm like, whoa. So it's like, yeah. So I just appreciate all the information that you give out. I just have a few more questions. I definitely want to respect your time. My brother will kill me if I don't ask this real estate question though.
No worries.
Because he's trying to get into real estate, and I was like, yeah, he's the person I'm about to interview. He also has 500 units. Oh, right on then.
I'm good on time.
So let me find his exact question. Here we go. For a person who is looking to get into real estate investing, who are the type of people that he should start building relationships with right away?
So I would say definitely get an account at the bank, right? Because at Money Avenue, go to bankmoneyave.com. Definitely get an account. What that's going to do is it's going to give you a relationship with our bank, and we're going to show you how to get financing either through your business or other creative ways, right? That's number one. Having a partner that you can say, I've got at least the financing aspect worried about. The next thing that you should focus on is buying or looking for a project that is income producing, profitable, right? You have that strategy mapped out. The way that we want you to do it is if you're just starting in the business, house hack, right? Live in one side, rent out the other, do a duplex, try to do a fourplex if possible. But the whole idea is you want to create some type of system that's going to pay you to basically own it and live there every single month. If you can do that, that is going to it's proven. That will put you on the course to be a millionaire. If you can eliminate your monthly expenses and all the money that you get invested in either more real estate or a business, I guarantee you'll become a millionaire. So that's really my advice to young people, how I tell them, look, if you're looking to really get started, when you're in your 20s, your monthly expenses are really low, $2,000-$3,000 a month in expenses. If you can if you can house hack and use real estate to eliminate those expenses at those early years, your trajectory is going to be phenomenal. So I think that they don't teach that in school. And I think that that is something that, all young people should set out to accomplish.
No, that is a major fact. And you actually answered the second question already. The next thing he wanted me to ask you are, what are some non-negotiable characteristics that you're looking for in every deal?
Real estate deals?
Yep.
Yeah, so I look at what am I going to be making every single month to own this property, right? And I try to make at least $500 every single month, right? So if it's a duplex and I can
Per
make
unit?
Well, I try to make 500 on the whole property, right? So if I'm house hacking and I'm living in one side and it's a duplex, I may not have that margin. But if it's an investment property, I need to make it. You got to pay me at least $500 every single month to deal with tenants, to, deal with maintenance calls and all. Like, that's the bare minimum. If you can't pay me that, then I'm not interested, So it's 500. I'm talking about on the smaller scale for an investor that's starting out, that's just the threshold that I said for every property, I need to be making 500 every single month, right? I'm a little advanced in terms of I just focus on 50 units and up right now. So I focus on bigger apartment complexes. So I look for different things. I just look for value add opportunities where I can buy assets that are below market value. And that is a way to build long-term wealth. But when you're looking for day-to-day, when you're looking to get out of the day-to-day rat race and be in control of your time, focus on what you're making per month per deal. Now it's like, I'm a little older now. My I'm good with expenses. So I'm looking for buying assets that just add to my wealth. If I can buy a $2 million property for $1.5 million, I don't really care about the cash flow right now, as long as I'm not losing money, So yeah. Just different things. It just really depends on where you are on your journey. But I hope that, that gives you some insight into like how I go and analyze real estate.
No, it gives a lot of insight. And the last question he had was, and I think you might have alluded to this earlier, but you hadn't used the term hard money lender. Have you ever used a hard money lender for any of your deals? And if so, when is the right time that it makes the most sense?
Well, you think of hard money lending just as a tool. So I don't like hard money lending. I've used it before, but I don't like it because it's high interest, high points. We're actually hard money lenders as well. We'll do those type deals. When you need them is when all other options have failed, right? Because it's the most expensive money. You want to go through your alternatives and go for the cheapest money possible. But in some scenarios, you can't help it because all other doors are closed, right? So you have to go to hard money and so when you need money quickly, you have a project that you need to turn around quickly, that is another source of capital. It's expensive, but sometimes you have such a great deal that it works. So I try to steer people away from hard money, but it's a time and place for it. Just like there's a time and place for a screwdriver. You just got to know what tool and what the situation best suits the hard money.
That's true. And with that hard money, you got to have your stuff together. Because I had a roommate a year ago. He had built a food delivering business, and he had sold it for like $150,000. So he got into real estate, and he had did hard money, and it started out cool, but boy, the monthly fees, and then he had ran into issues with contractors and all the other stuff like that. So then his money had ran low, but then that holding costs every month, and I literally watched his bag just dwindle away.
Yeah, nah. So here's the deal with the hard money. Also, you're usually dealing with a more sophisticated investor because it's usually from private equity. So you're dealing with somebody's money. So they're gonna be on you. And the way that they lend it and the way that it's structured in such a way that they can lend you $50,000. You might borrow 100. Let's say you borrow 100, you put 50,000 into the project, but you have problems with the contractor or something messes up and you're not able to complete. So you never tapped into the other 50. They basically will take the property and you put that 50 into it. They have a leg up and you basically lost money, and lost the project. So something that people need to realize is that I would much rather owe a bank than to owe a private lender. It's just so one of the things that Donald Trump, right? He says that if I owe the bank $3 million, that's my problem. Like I have the issue, but if I owe the bank 300 million, that's their problem, right? Because I owe them so much, they got to make that work. So if you're trying to build wealth, understand that, you want to put yourself in a position where you owe the bank a lot of money, not a little bit of money. And the best way to do that is, once again, setting up these separate legal entities, positioning them to the point where banks will want to lend a lot of money and take on most of the risk. Because if you have a $300 million portfolio, you're not going to worry about a default. They're going to make that loan work, right? And that's what happened with Donald Trump. He defaulted on the Taj Mahal, and they were like, well, I'm going to file bankruptcy, and nobody gets anything. And they're like, no, your name is so good. We're gonna take on the debt and make it work. And that's where he went on to kind of license his name out, because he realized the power of licensing, right? And so if you see all of these buildings with the Trump name on it now, it is not that he owns the building, but he's licensed his name out. And I don't know if that his name is going to have the same value, but that's a business model that we should consider as well. Your name, your having the ability to license is really key, right? And
because
you
now
can
if
apply
they're
that
able
on
to
other businesses.
Because if they're able to put Donald Trump's name on a building, then rent or whatever thing that they were going to charge per month can immediately go through the roof, strictly because of his name being on it.
Absolutely, whether he owns it or not. So it's people haven't really applied that business model to real estate, but that can be applied to anything. I mean, he tried to unsuccessfully apply it to water and steaks and other things that he got into that failed miserably. I mean, all his businesses failed miserably, but the fact of the matter is, if you look at his story, like, he's the master at leverage. He's the master at getting debt and leveraging it to the point where there's no bank in the United States that will lend Donald Trump money. He cannot get, because he's beat them all, right? He's literally beat them. And in order for him to get money now, he has to go overseas. He has to go to the oligarchs in Russia. He has to go to other heads of state. That's how he has to get money to leverage his projects.
Wow.
So it's an interesting dynamic. It's just something that, when you're talking about building wealth, we have to understand that it's a lot easier to get $10 million, $20 million on a project that is profitable, that is asset backed, than it is to get a mortgage of $700,000. That's what I've found. It's easier for me to get a $10 million project financed than it is for me to get an $800,000 house.
Man, that's interesting. I did get a couple questions about taxes. For a person who hasn't filed taxes in a couple of years, what would be your suggestion to them? Just suck it up and just file it, or is there a certain step that they should do first? Or
if you haven't filed, definitely file. One of the things that you do not want to do is you do not want to get in trouble with the IRS, because the repercussions are serious. So my advice would be file you can go back as much as you can. Even if you say I didn't make money, just file, right? And then because if let's just say you have a great year, you start making money, all you're going to do is get on their radar and get audited. And you don't want to do that. You want to, at least every single year, make sure that you are filing correctly, even to say that you've taken a loss, if you lost money. You can always go back and correct up to 2 years. But definitely, I would recommend you to call right now. If you owe money, call right now, especially during COVID. Try to work something out. They're more apt to do it now going into the tax season than if you wait another year. And also, if you can get that taken care of, you're going to be able to get your stimulus. So understand that too. There could be a potential payoff here, right? Because we just had another stimulus payment, and then the first stimulus payment, if you didn't file last year, chances are you didn't get a stimulus payment. So, things to think about. There's money out there for you to collect.
What are some of the common mistakes that you see that people make when filing their taxes? That for just like the random person who's like a W-2 person, and then also the business owners and all that.
Right. Well, the key, and we talked about it a little earlier, as a random person, your goal should be to have an LLC to give you some tax shelter, right? So that you can write off some of your daily living expenses, or you can live exclusively through your business. So that's the random person. A person that already has a business, it's really about how are you optimizing your business to give you the greatest tax benefit. That's really, it's two different mindsets, two different levels. So you should really get with, depending on what business that you're working in, and figure out how do you optimize that situation. How are you paying yourself? How are you structured? How are you, all of these things, you have to think about as an entrepreneur. And then you also need to think about, what am I going to be doing in the year ahead, right? What am I going to be? Am I going to be making any big purchases? Am I going to be trying to acquire more leverage, more debt? Am I going to be going for a loan? All of those answers to those questions are going to affect what you're doing right now in your business and how you're structuring your business.
When do you suggest that a CEO or entrepreneur put himself on payroll? And how do you suggest he pay himself, like a percentage, or how do you determine salaries and all that other stuff like that for yourself as a CEO?
Yeah, it's a good question. As a CEO, I don't take a salary, but that doesn't work for all businesses, right? So my thing is that is really a subjective situation that you have to figure out. When you're taking a salary, you're actually taking money out of your business.
So you're doing this strictly off the strength right now, just...
Correct. I'm not taking a salary at all. In fact, none of the people that work with us take a salary. All of our money, 100% of our money, and the money that we use to start this bank is money that we put into the company.
Wow.
Yeah. So
that's what I'm talking about when I'm saying how people are gonna just like gravitate towards you just because that's another factor. It's like, hey, yo, bro, I'm not even getting paid from doing this. Like, I'm doing this, just strictly just for legacy, or just for the community, or just, for purpose, fulfilling purpose, or whatever it is. But man, that's powerful. Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, no, that's really where it is. I think legacy is really where it's at for me. It's providing this opportunity for more creators to be born, an opportunity for more real estate developers to be born. So that's really where I'm trying to build this institution that is going to birth thousands of other millionaires. That's really where we're at. Like how to build wealth effectively. And it's really easy, right? But thousands of millionaires, even more thousandaires, right? So we have a program where through one of our partners, they provide training where you can get 3 months of training. And when you graduate, you don't need a college education or anything. When you graduate, you can get a job guaranteed $100,000 annual salary. That is groundbreaking, and it's going to help move people from living in a state of poverty to a place in which there's abundance. So for me, that's part of why I'm doing what I'm doing.
No, that's powerful. And last question. When you had mentioned earlier that, sometimes you have experienced doubt before and all that stuff like that. So as an entrepreneur, when you find yourself being discouraged or feeling, a little defeated and all that, what things do you do to kind of recharge yourself or to kind of repower yourself or to like feel rejuvenated and everything?
Well, I love to travel, right? So one of the things is with my family, we'll go vacation. We just came back home. I was out the country for the New Year's. So, a lot of you need to do that. You need to take breaks and just recharge. Just spend time, focusing on your inner self, being reflective. That's really what helps me to really get energized to tackle the day-to-day struggles that I go through. And then, then relying on, friends and family and other people that are close by, giving you positive encouragement. Even people, on the internet, sometimes people would just DM me and say, I heard about you on this podcast and I was inspired, and just like that gives me energy, too, because it lets me know that, all of the energy and time that I'm putting and investing into this is worthwhile, and it's touching people's lives, and we're making a difference. That's really it.
How many DMs did you get after the David Shands interview in the morning meetup thing?
Oh man, well, yeah, the David Shands interview, I couldn't even respond to. I couldn't respond. Like, it was just flooded. Like, I had hundreds. So, so he blew up. He blew it up. Definitely blew it up. And then the morning meetup, I had like 40 off of, off that one morning, and I was out of the country when I did that, I believe. I think at the morning meetup, I was out the country. Yeah. So, but, it is something that I really enjoy doing. And, we do it because we're helping people, and that's what it is.
Did you get a chance to meet Neo? Did he connect you?
You know what? Neo we were supposed to hang out that day, but I didn't get a chance to meet Neo. No, I think Neo was out of town, and I was leaving the next day, so we never got a chance to connect. But I'm gonna be down in Atlanta, I think, next month. I think we're gonna make it happen. Yeah.
Definitely, I'll be interested in seeing what comes from that. Yeah. But I appreciate you for taking the time to be a rising tide. Again, the purpose of Rising Tide is to educate, heal, and empower by bringing on the world's most brilliant minds and purest souls. If y'all stayed to the end of the interview, y'all definitely know we had just that, a brilliant mind and a pure soul. So I appreciate you, Mr. Donahue Baker. If you can just let the people know your websites again, and then also your social media handles so they can follow you and support you.
Absolutely. So you can follow me across all social media platforms, Donahue Baker. I even have a website, adonahuebaker.com. But I'm on Instagram probably a lot more, Instagram and Twitter a lot more than other platforms. And I also have a YouTube channel, Donahue Baker. Now, the bank, you can find us currently at moneyav.com, or you can sign up for the bank at bankmoneyav.com. That's how you can reach out and touch me. Always willing to help, always looking to build teams. If you're interested in partnering or doing anything like that, definitely don't hesitate, reach out. We're trying to build an army. We're trying to build an army of people that can help create more thousandaires, more millionaires, and that's the goal.
Definitely. And he's not capping when he says that he is approachable or that you can reach out to him. Because I slid in his DMs like, yo, I heard you on the podcast and on a morning meetup. We'd love to have you on mine. Immediately, he was like, yo, man, let's set it up. So he's not joking around when he says he's approachable. So again, I just support you. I encourage you in everything that you got going on. If there's any way I can be of service or help you out in anything that you got going on, please don't hesitate to ask. I'm always down to help entrepreneurs, especially entrepreneurs of color who are just doing dope things. And the fact that you have a high level of integrity plus character and all that stuff, and I got a chance to kind of get into your vision a little bit more, I'm 100% on board. So again, any way I could be of service, please don't hesitate to ask.
Oh, we're going to make it happen. We're going to do some things definitely in the future, man. But I thank you so much for the opportunity. Let me know how I can promote, this podcast as well. So I can blast that off on my social media, because it was a great interview. I thought it was very insightful. So, let me know how I can help your mission. Anything I can do, I'm definitely going to do. So thank you, brother. I really appreciate it.
All righty, man. You have a blessed day, man. And we'll have a prosperous day, actually, man.
Absolutely.
And continue to bless and progress.
Absolutely, man. You have a good one. Take care. All righty.